some amazing um, faces here on this Zoom call. So welcome to the Power Hour for the Wise Women's Business Center. We have started this again to bring amazing business owners to the table to talk about their journeys and also to see how can they help you. And just as a reminder, what WISE does, we are here to serve and help women on their journeys as they are moving their businesses forward. And we do that through one-on-one counseling. We do that through classes and also connecting them to resources. We are now an EAC, which we can help women get their oh my goodness gracious me, WBEs, and help them on that journey. Also, I'm just going to do a little plug. If you haven't done one yet, we will be working on our business plan intensive that is open. You can go to the Wise Women's Business Center, wisecenter.org, and find out more information about that and sign up for this class. And it's our 9th cohort. It's going strong. So that's just a little commercial, but the main reason that we are here today is we are going to learn from Elin Barton. And she is the founder of Riveo. Am I saying that correct, Ellen?
We say Riveo. Yeah.
Riveo Creations, thank you. Um, and an amazing entrepreneur, and I'm going to share just a little bit of her introduction, but then I would like for her to expound because she has done so much amazing work, not only for the companies that she works with, but also to really make impacts in the community, because I think that that's really what we're doing as creating these businesses and being women business owners, that we really want not just the business, the money, we want to make impact in what we're doing. And Ellen, I found out that you're an author and I didn't realize that when
I
we
don't think I mentioned that.
I know. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk more about that because I want to know what the 3 steps are. But anyhow, just a little bit about Ellen. After graduating, Ellen moved abroad and worked for 5 years in Prague in radio, film, and television. That foundation led her to a move to LA and finally starting Riveo Creative, formerly White Knight Productions, in 2009. Still strongly interested in storytelling, and that's really what we're going to talk a little bit about today is storytelling. Ellen believes in a result-driven focus and integrates her skills to help clients make informed decisions, both creatively and strategically. With over 20 years of experience in all aspects of video production, project management, strategic planning, business development, Ellen works closely with business owners and leaders um, as an extension of her team. So she's worked with different industries across the board: healthcare, energy, corporate, higher education, non-for-profit, hospitality, and small and mid-sized businesses. So we're going to talk a little bit about, we've entitled this about crafting your small business impact story, because that's really what it's all about. So Ellen, I know I just did a little bit of an introduction, but could you please just expand on that, please?
Sure, Barb. Well, ladies, thank you for having me here. I love being around women entrepreneurs because I feel like this is the family. These are my peeps, and if we could say peeps, I'm such a geek, at heart, really. So I don't know. If my kids were here, I'm sure they would be cringing.
Peeps
But
are good. Peeps are
peeps are
good.
good. Can I still say that? So
Yeah,
it's too
yeah.
old-fashioned or something. But anyway, I really believe that as entrepreneurs, we need to connect with one another and lean on each other, because other people out in the world that have, like a 9 to 5 job with a paycheck don't get all the struggles that we have. So I love that you guys have this community, and thank you for having me in to talk to you. So yeah, so I've been doing this a long time. My company is in its 16th year this year. which is kind of mind-blowing. And when I started in 2009, I had some things I knew how to do. I knew about production. I knew some about storytelling. I liked to write. And we had moved to upstate New York. I live near Binghamton. I know you guys are mainly in the Syracuse area, but we are practically neighbors in the scheme of things. And so we moved here from LA, where we had been living for 10 years and I was just talking to this guy, he lives in California, and he did the opposite. I said that's the normal way to do it, but I moved back. I never thought I would return to New York, but I did. I wanted the schools, I wanted the land, I wanted my garden. There were choices that we made to do this intentionally. Um, what I didn't have a clear vision of was what I was really going to do for work. I did have a job I brought with me, and that was good for a couple of years, and then it became less good for various reasons that just, things evolve and change and nothing you can do about it. You've got to adapt. So that's when I started to think, well, what could I do? Maybe I could start a business. And I did know how to do like production, like I said. So that led to the beginning of the business. And I, I didn't know anything about business at the time. So I have so many battle scars. I continue to make mistakes. Like I feel like that's the university of life. Like we're all learning by making, at least that's been my journey. I just, try to jump in and do things and make mistakes and then
Isn't it always,
learning.
it's about this journey. It's about being
Yeah.
resilient. Yes, yes.
Enjoy the
Love it,
journey.
Ellen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. Like I'm not gonna lie, like even right now, after all these years, I'm just coming out of a really hard spot. And it gets tiresome like to, you get through it and you think you have it all figured out, and then you get hit with something else, and whew, it requires some resiliency. And so I applaud everyone here on the call because I'm sure you all have that grit and resiliency too.
Well, one of the things, Ellen, that you have done is you have gotten so many certifications. And
Mm,
along along the time and along your journey, tell us a little bit about that and how did that help you springboard? And by the way, ladies, we're on this call. This is about you. So please enter in the chat any questions you'd like to ask. And then we'll just continue building on the conversation because this is about you. It's about what you need. So tell us a
yeah.
little bit about the certifications, Ellen.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, getting back to all the mistakes I made in my business, the first time I got certified by New York State was probably 10 years ago. And I had been working with the SBDC down here in Binghamton, and my advisor said, "Oh, maybe you should get certified." And so I did. It's really just paperwork. It's kind of intimidating, but you can do it if you're interested. The big mistake I made was I did get certified. I went through the process and got the stamp of approval and then didn't really leverage it the first time around. I renewed my certification and I'm trying to do better this time. But if you're in a business that has any kind of service or product that you can sell to the state certification is a good one to get. Of course, who the heck knows what's going on these days with the administration, and all the rules that are coming down from Washington. But I think the state one is probably pretty safe. And in a lot of government contracts, they have a set aside for women-owned businesses. So like if it's $100,000 contract, a lot of times $30,000 has to be spent with a women or minority and or veteran owned business. So you have an advantage, and you have an opportunity to get access to jobs that you might, not normally have access to. I don't want to say it's easy. It is not easy. It is very competitive. But if you want to go that route, you need to lean into it, get to know the people, build relationships. It's just like anything else. It's a process. You got to commit to it. So I have that certification. I have national women-owned business certifications through WeBank. And the SBA does one called, it's WOSB, well, Women Owned Small Business. And that one is helpful if you want to do federal contracting. I do have that certification. I haven't leveraged it. And then we have also an environmental certification called EcoVadis that my company has decided to lean into sustainability and our values. And we want to work with like-minded companies, and it's important to us to have that certification. So we just renewed that. And we're working on something called B Corp right now that is environmental and social and governance
Mm.
of your company. So it's a difficult certification to get. It's internationally recognized. And again, I think that for me, we work in marketing. I think I can network in that community, build relationships, and get more business with like-minded companies, which I'm interested in. But of course, everybody's on their own path and has their own strategy. That one is something that I'm trying to lean into.
Yes, leaning into the companies and being able to almost like create your tribe around and really wanting to collectively serve. So,
Yeah.
Ellen, one of the things we really wanted to talk a little bit about, because you really do help companies um, being able to craft their story. And
Mm.
can you talk a little bit about that? The number, first of all, why is it important? And what is the best way for them to go about crafting this to be able to get their real message out, to be able to impact not only the client, but again, you've been talking a lot about the environment and the people that are around them.
Well, if you ask 10 people in marketing, they're probably going to give you 10 different answers. So I'll give you my view on
Yes.
this. And I really believe in authenticity. I believe in talking about your values in an open way. And what we like to do at Riveo is we like to help our clients curate their stories. So we do a lot, we do video production, we do content creation, and we do content calendar planning. So we figure out holistically what your story is going to look like on your social media, on your website, on your newsletter, on your blogs, like anywhere you're putting content out. We look at it holistically to make sure that we're hitting different aspects of your values, make sure we're hitting some of your services, showcasing some of your work or your products, bringing in testimonials. Like there has to be a mix, like a marketing mix. And together that begins to show the world your story so that the world can talk about you in a way that you would like them to when you're not even in the room. You know, people do pay attention to your content. They do pay attention to what you're doing. And as you build an audience, of course, everybody starts with zero and you have to build from there. But I still get surprised with people who perhaps I haven't seen for a long time or just have lost touch with. And they'll say to me, they'll be like, "Oh, see you guys are doing all these cool projects," or "I see you've been traveling to, wherever." And I'm always surprised because especially on our company page, typically like, and I'm talking just right now about social media, but on company pages, it can be difficult to get high levels of engagement, especially for service companies. Products can be a little bit different, but we're a B2B company, business to business, and it's more challenging. So a lot of times we put out content, all the time for ourselves and our clients. We don't always see the highest engagement, but people still see it. So it's about like, what if you don't take charge of your story and tell it in a way that is intentional, people will make assumptions. They'll perhaps say things that are incorrect or not factual. They're going to tell some story, but you want them to tell your story. So that's what the whole like content curation is about, in my view. And the impact, I think a lot of women specifically are hesitant to talk about their impact because we just
Mm.
tend to be more giving and I don't mean to stereotype, but from what I've observed, we tend to just want to help people
Mhm.
and not so much talk about that. But when you do talk about it and share about it, or other people share about it, it helps you to show the world that your company has certain values.
Mhm.
And especially today, especially with a younger consumer or a younger employee, people of all ages care about this stuff. But I think particularly young people are attracted to spend their money with companies whose values align with theirs and
Mm.
want to work with companies whose values align with theirs and even stay with companies. Like if you have a team, if you have employees and everybody is invested in the same values, you end up with a very, invested, active team. And that's worth a lot these days. It's so hard to recruit new people. It's so much easier to keep the ones you have and keep them motivated.
You
So
know,
there's a lot of reasons for telling your stories.
Yes, I love that. And I'm just going to open up chat, but one of the things you're talking about is it's being in alignment, like alignment with your values, your purpose. You want to
Yeah.
work with the people that have got the same, you want to create the same within your company for your employees. And by the way, I love the two dogs that are your CEOs on your
Yeah.
team. I mean, what better way?
They're
Um,
CCOs, not
Oh,
CEOs.
oh,
They're chief
CCOs.
chiefest
Okay.
officers.
All right.
Yeah. And actually, we have a puppy, and my daughter said, when is he going to get a job? And I'm like, he's not on our website yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
But we have a third canine employee.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this word comes up for me in regards to alignment. What can people do to better help the public and even within their company and their team to really get in alignment with their values, their authenticity, their purpose? Because that, to me, that tells me what that why is, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well, I think you're not gonna make the public get in alignment with your values. You're gonna attract people who
Mm.
are already there. I in this day and age, everyone it's pretty clear on which side they're on, what they believe in. You're probably not going to sway people if like I'm leaning into environmental stuff. I really
Mm.
care about that. I really care about diversity and inclusion. I'm working hard on that in my company. Um, I know not everybody agrees with me, and they're probably not my clients.
Mhm.
It's just our identity. And it's not something I'm excited about changing because it's just who we are and who I want to attract and work with are people that believe kind of along the same lines. It would be difficult for me to work with somebody that didn't believe in women's rights, for example, like that's just not aligned with me personally. If there's other companies that they can go work with, it's no problem. So I think you got to decide, how much do you want to talk about it? How you don't have to be controversial. I've decided to keep talking about DEI. That's my personal choice because I still believe that it's important for people to feel included. Um, we just put out an impact report for our company, and we've really been promoting that. And I know that's going to turn some people off, and that's okay. So
Mhm.
that's how I'm navigating it. And it's hard. We've had many conversations internally about just like it's a very touchy time right now. But I'm sure that you all can think of companies that you buy from or don't buy from because you agree or disagree with their values. There are certain companies I'm really loyal to because I just really believe in what they're doing, and I'll pay more to buy from them. That's just me.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Someone had written, Carolyn, I'm assuming this might have been on Facebook. Everyone will tell a story, but you want them to tell your story. That is a
Yeah.
great way to frame content creation, repeating
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah, you have the ability to take charge of your story, but it requires intentionality. It requires you to repeat it.
Mm.
You can't just do it once and think you're done because not everybody's going to see it or remember it. People have such short attention spans. We're all being bombarded constantly by information. So it's very important, even if you, as the creator or as the owner of the company, you might start to get a little bored with your own messaging because you're like, I'm repeating these same six themes over and over. However, that's how you do it. That's how you start to make an impact on people and get them to understand what you're about. You can, change up. You don't have to repeat the exact same words or the exact same pictures. You can change it up, but sticking to, a few different themes, a few different things that you really want people to remember is what I would recommend. And then repeating that in your socials, in your blog, in your YouTube, in your, all the places that you are. Teach your staff, if you have employees, teach them
Mm.
how to talk about it in a way that reinforces those pieces of the story that you want people to know.
Yeah, because they're the extension of you, Ellen,
Oh, yeah.
so they need to be in it. One of the things I love about what you do is right on your website, you talk about your values, your empowerment, impact, integrity, excellence, and creativity, and that everything that you do is really, it starts with that.
Yeah, and we've worked very hard. I have to say, I only have a small team. There's only five of us, and then we work with contractors. And when I say what I'm about to say, I'm really talking about my core team. To a certain extent, it extends to contractors, but it's my core team that's been really involved with our brand. We went through a rebrand about 18 months ago, and we really worked hard on figuring out our values, like what were the right words to say. And it was important to us that they weren't just words. Like
Mm.
we want to make sure that we're living these values on a regular basis. Like you wouldn't believe, like we talk all the time. We have daily meetings, and then every Friday we have a longer meeting, and we go through we do something called entrepreneurial operating system, or EOS. And so we're just following the system. And on Fridays, we have these longer meetings and we look at issues and we talk about our values on a regular basis. And like one of the things that we're working on is what we call an 11-star customer experience. So like we talk about that on the regular, like, to try to always be improving and figuring out like how we can do better and serve our customers better. To us, our values aren't just words, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ladies, I just want to encourage, if you have any questions for Ellen, please ask. So Christine asking Ellen, can you please describe and Ellen and Christine is here, describe more or give examples about how the story is reflected in marketing in addition to sharing values and company vision? Or is it mainly what you are referring to? It's one story different, is one story different from branding?
That's a great question. Yeah. So, how the story is reflected in marketing, in addition to sharing values in your company vision. Yeah, to me, I think that they're all entwined. So, marketing as opposed to sales is about keeping your message out there. You know, it's not like direct sales necessarily. It's just like the stuff the content that you're doing, messaging on social media, you're letting people know about your company, all of that is marketing. Um, and it is tied in your brand is obviously it's all the visual elements, but it's also the things that your company believes and stands for. And you'll have like a brand statement or a brand mission. And you always want to be consistent in the language you're using. Like we have a brand voice that we use with Riveo, and like all of that is part of it. But bringing the values into it, I think lends another layer so that it's always like for us, it's always something that we have in mind when we're creating our content. I have another client, they're a women-owned construction company, they're in Colorado, and they have a logo with like 4 points of a star, and that represents their four core values. And so we don't always like say it outright what their values are, but we're always thinking about it and we're trying to like find ways to um, put out content that aligns with their values, whether that's a testimonial from an employee or a client, or whether it's a story about their commitment to safety, like, oh, we're really committed to safety, so we just did this training and our employees said it was fantastic. We want to just be sure to be reinforcing certain points that are important to them. And my client, for that company, she decided to have a company word for the year. So her word is momentum.
Mm.
And we don't often like even say that word in our content, but we're thinking about it. So we're thinking about it like in some of the visuals that we create and in some of the language, like we're always just kind of like trying to it's a little bit of an art to it. It's like an art and a science, but we're always trying to like weave these elements into the content. And I hope I answered your question. Christine, you have to tell me. Feel
Christine,
free
if
to
you
ask a follow-up if I.
any, yeah, anything else you need to be, any clarifying questions that you'd like to follow up with?
No, that answers my question. Thank you. I had another question, but I want to make sure that people have an
No.
opportunity.
Christine, go ahead.
Okay. So when I first heard about this workshop, I was thinking story might refer to the bio I see of people, particularly on websites, that explains where they're coming from, their original experience with what their um, work is. And I wondered if that enters in at all to your work, and if you could give some advice on that, because I read some of them, like I want to create one for myself, but I read some and it feels too detailed, like probably
Mhm.
not everything I would need to know, but some of it
Mhm.
is really well crafted, and I'm like, wow, that really resonates. So I just thought if you work with this and have any guidance. Thank you.
Yeah, what's your business, Christine?
Holistic services.
Okay. So, the way I would think about it is try to put yourself in your customer's shoes and imagine like so you provide holistic services
Yes.
to clients. So it's kind of like a similar idea to picking a doctor or any other provider. Like you want to feel an affinity to that person that you decide to work with. Like I want to believe that you have qualifications and that I can trust you. You're not just going to, spout off what you Googled that morning to something and tell me what to do holistically. So, so that is important, but more important to me would be, I'd love to know a little bit about your story. Like, how did you get into that? What is your motivation? What really fascinates you and excites you about this? What are your values? What do you believe? Why do you believe that this is important? Like that little personal story. I think that we as human beings are very attuned to story and storytelling, and and people will either glom onto it and feel like, oh, that's my Christine, she's my tribe, that's my person. Or they won't. They'll be like, oh, holistic, that's not for me. That's weird,
Mm.
and that's just not your client. So being authentic and talking about your journey a little bit in the bio to me is more meaningful than just a list of, I have these certifications and did these courses. That's not that that's not important. But if you're looking for a balance, I think some of that more personal aspect as related to your business is important. And it's not to say that you can't mention a few personal, fun facts. Like sometimes in my bios, I'll drop in, like, I love to travel, I love to cook, I love to garden, I have 2 dogs, like sometimes I'll drop in those facts because it sort of personalizes the whole experience. People want to do business with people they like, know, and trust. But if you really like looking from a professional perspective, I think that like just your story about how you got to where you are is interesting. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Ellen, one of the things I love about what you're saying about is that there is this human on the other side. You have an owner, you have a business
Mm.
owner, but
And ChatGPT can't write that for you.
that's right.
It can help you, but it can't write it for you. And that's and and we use ChatGPT, to be clear, to generate ideas and, for certain, it's a great tool, but it cannot replace that human authentic element. And that's what people are going to be attracted to when they're shopping for your services or products.
I love that. Love that. I did put in the chat your website,
So
so that as people want to go and find out a little bit more about what you do or would like to reach out to you, um that
yeah,
that's
please
there.
do. We
Okay.
just, if you go on our website at the top, there's a link. We just finished our first impact report,
Mm.
and I'm really proud of it. It's kind of long, but you could just kind of look through it and see what we've been working on for our impact. And we also just released our first episode of our new podcast. It's called the Riveo Impact Lab. And I would love for you to check that out. We decided to do, this is our third podcast we've ever had. So we've learned a few things and we decided to make seasons. So our first season has 7 guests. The first episode is out. And I think we're dropping the episodes every week or every 2 weeks for 7, and then we'll start season 2.
Cool.
But
Congratulations on
thank
that.
you. It's of the 3 podcasts, like this is the one I'm really excited about. It's aimed at small business and talking about stories of impact and how we can think about impact and making an impact. So I hope the episodes are only like a half hour-ish, and Emily, who works with on my team, and I are the co-hosts, and we got some really great guests this
Cool.
time, this first season one. So I'm really excited.
And
Uh,
Carolyn just put the link to the
oh,
podcast
thank you.
in
Thank
the
you.
chat. Okay, so that you can get connected.
Yeah, if you guys would subscribe to my podcast, it would make me very happy.
Okay. Yes,
Because
absolutely.
we just
Absolutely.
launched it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy.
And one of the things I want to say is, you started this business, but what I've heard along the journey of 16 years is you're constantly, it's almost like you're reinventing yourself.
For learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the branding, the I loved the 11 steps to kind of for customer service that you talked about.
11 stars. Yeah.
11 stars. Okay,
Yeah.
stars. I didn't. I wrote a T there instead of an S.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is what we need to do as business owners, and especially as female business owners, constantly reinventing and bettering, because we really want to impact. And that's what you're doing, your impact report. I didn't read that. I'll have to go back and read that from there.
Yeah, I'm trying. And when I started my business, to be clear, I needed money. I needed a job. And so I didn't have this vision. Maybe I had a desire to make impact, but it wasn't well articulated at that time. So for me, it's sometimes I just shake my head and I go, wow, it took you a really long time to learn certain things. It's really been a journey. And I have been fortunate to, well, I'm fortunate to still be in business, honestly. That's good. But I've done a lot of courses and education, and have found some great communities along the way. And that is what I think is a big part of the secret to success, is just really being open to always be learning and growing and adapting. And it's even though like right now is such a weird time with everything that's going on, and yet a lot of businesses are going to do really, really well. Some businesses might not, but the ones that learn how to adapt and work in whatever environment we're dealt with, we're here, we've got to figure it out. And so, I know we can do that. We just have to continually be ready to,
Yeah.
sort of. I just did a course at the Talk Business School. I got into it through WeBank, that national women's certification group. And I got a scholarship for a whole week at Dartmouth at
Oh,
Talk.
wow.
Awesome. And one of the professors was talking about like everybody says pivot, like what are you going to do to pivot? And he was talking about a swivel. He was talking about like what little thing can you change just a little bit that's going to make a difference. And like it doesn't have to be a full pivot to make a huge impact on your business. And I think about that a lot. Like I think we always just have to be open to looking for that opportunity to swivel and kind of go
Yeah.
with the flow, and make it, if something
I,
doesn't work, just find another
yeah.
way.
It's just, I love that, because like pivot, it's like, okay, got to really shift, but a swivel
Yeah,
is just
it's just little. It might just be
little.
little. Yeah.
Yeah. And just get a little bit of a different perspective, or a different, I love that analogy.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite tips of the whole week. I really
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pivot. You can see that. We have a question here from Eileen. Um, do you accept clients
Outside of
outside of the alignment with your values?
it depends. It depends. I mean, if they were really misaligned, I would say no. I don't want to like, if somebody was anti-women's rights, like
Mhm.
women need to go back to the kitchen, that is not my jam. I'm not going to create messaging around that. I'm just not going to do it. Or pro, I don't know, like I don't think I would take on tobacco, like cigarettes, like I don't think I would feel good about that. No judgment, no judgment. If, I certainly used to smoke in my youth, whatever, but I just don't think I would want to take that on right now. But there are some gray areas, like to me, if a client isn't 100% whatever, environmentally friendly or 100% aligned with us, they could still be a really good client. We tend to draw the line at very misaligned clients we would probably not say yes to, and people that aren't nice to me and especially my staff, my team. We had a client, she was actually a woman, not local, she, again, in Colorado, not the same client I was talking about, who's lovely, but she was just not nice. And we finished the project with her, and I promised my team we would just not solicit work from her in the future because, you have to have boundaries. So, like,
Yeah,
so you have to be nice. And I think that's the first thing.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Ellen? Good things coming in here. I just want to make a little bit of a point here. Carolyn put some information. If you're interested in getting your New York State MWB or federal WOSB, would like assistance, please just email the center, ycenter@syracuse.edu, and we'll try to get questions answered, assist you or point you in the right direction to being able to do that, because it is important from there.
And I don't know if WISE provides these services, but there are centers throughout the state that help connect you
Yep.
with contracts or bids that you can, bid on contracts. And it can be lucrative. It can be a lot of paperwork to do an RFP and, put in the proposals, but it also can be very lucrative.
We do have somebody on board to be able to help our clients with getting their MWBE and
Mhm.
getting that moved in that direction. So that's been part of our EAC to be able to support the community.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
can I ask you a little question about your book?
Sure.
So Ellen has written this book, her first book, Ready, Set, Grit.
Yeah, I
Three
was wondering if
steps.
I had it on my desk, but I don't think I did. I
Okay.
wasn't prepared for this question. But
Oh, it's okay. You don't have to show it. But
yeah,
I'll put it in the chat. 3 steps for success in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So can you give us an overview of what the 3 steps are?
sure. Yeah, so the book was something that I really wanted to do. I like to write. And I had been going through a rough time with my business. And this was back in 2015, I think. That's when I did a program called Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses in 2015. I think it was around that time because I was having a really rough time with the business. And that's another the 10KSB program is a really good program. I could talk about that. But anyway, I wasn't in a good place and I got through it somehow. I don't know how. But I did get through it and I was able to build the business back up and you know, be successful. And as I said, recently, I again was faced with some big issues and I was like, oh man, not again. But I feel okay, now we're getting through it again. This is what we do. But that's what caused me to write the book. So I thought, well, I'm going through this really rough time. There has to be something good that comes out of this. I have to like share something from this experience. And so the book kind of took form. And it was really because I was trying to figure out life. I was trying to figure out like, what am I doing wrong? How are people who are successful like navigating this? How can I help other people, figure this out? And I called the book Ready, Set, Grit for these 3 sort of steps. Ready is about getting your mind ready, getting your mindset positive and thinking in the right direction so that you can be open to receiving all the gifts of the universe and not block things out. I'll tell you, as I keep mentioning, I just recently had to go through some really difficult stuff with the business. And I noticed it like as if I was observing myself. I'm like, wow, you're getting so upset and so anxious and so like your energy is just wrong, girl. You gotta fix that. And so that's what the ready part of the book is like just getting aware, fixing, kind of getting yourself in a good headspace so that you can go forward and grow and reach your dreams, create the things you want.
Yeah, mindset is so important.
So important. And it's so easy to slip back into anxiety and slip back into stress.
Yep.
And I've done so much work. Like I've been aware of this for many, many years. I've been working on myself for so long. I've taught classes in this, and I still got sucked in recently. I was like, and I knew it was happening. And I'm like, wait a second. And my daughter shared with me something. She shared that if you're I hope I said that this right, but like if you're finding yourself like spiraling into anxiety, and you can just break the cycle by,
Mm.
I think she said they were like 15-minute intervals. And if you can just calm yourself down for 15 minutes, it helps to break the cycle. And I can't explain it more than that. She just told me this the other day. But she told me that, and I'm like, okay, I can breathe for 15 minutes. I can just sit here, do a little meditation. And it did help me feel better. And I played with my puppies too. That really helped. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. Mindset is important. And it's continuous improvement. It's not like you get it and then you never have to work on it again, because let me tell you, you do sometimes. And the second part of the book, the set part, that's about action. So that's about like, so if you have your vision, you know where you're going, you got your mind, you're thinking positive, you're doing the big vision thing. The set part is about taking actions. And what I believe what's really important in the book is that you don't need to know all the steps. You just need to take a step that you think is in the right direction. And it's very interesting what starts to happen and what starts to show up. And it can manifest in like ideas. Like you could start on this path and you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And then you'll be like, sometimes for me, I'm out gardening and I'm like playing in the dirt. And then I get this idea. I'm like, oh, Suzanne, I haven't talked to her for a while. I need to call her. And I can't tell you the number of times that happens. And that person will say, I was just thinking about you. I needed your services, or I needed to introduce you to somebody. It's really interesting when you kind of get in touch with your intuition, but action is such a big part of that. So that's the second part of the book. And then the third part is grit. And as I said earlier, I know everybody on this call knows all about grit because you have businesses. But that is getting up and doing it again and doing it again, even when you don't want to, and even when it's hard. And when you're just, you feel like you're done, but you got a little bit more in you, because that is, to my experience, that's kind of been what's kept me going all these years, and it seems to be working. It's like, I wish it was easier sometimes. And then sometimes it is easier. It's like the business is such a roller coaster of, it's great, and then it's not so great, and then it's better.
Yeah, you are
Like
speaking.
life, I guess.
It is, but you're
Yeah,
speaking to the life of a
yeah,
woman entrepreneur,
yeah,
and
yeah.
but I
We're
love
dealing
how
with all the things that family, friends, all the things
absolutely.
we're doing. We're jugglers, I guess.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Ellen, I love it. Love, 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 love this conversation. Love the learning. Love what you brought here, the energy, the perspective. I think it's been a great session. So again, we've got some people that are leaving, and are a little bit sick, but that's it. Okay, it's okay, Andy. Um, and we, somewhere along the line, please stay in touch with the Wise Women's Business Center, because this has been such an engaging conversation. I think a lot of learning for our family here. With that,
I put my email in the chat too, if anybody
okay,
wants to reach out. And I'd love feedback on the podcast, or, anything, any questions you have, you reach out
call.
anytime.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
this Power Hour again is brought to you by the Wise Center. And again, please go to wisecenter.org to take a look at the services that we do provide, because we are here to be able to support women in the community as they are launching their businesses and being able to support them in whatever way we can. So, Ellen, thank you so much. I learned so
you.
much about you and so much more. And please reach out to Ellen, and also check out her website. There was one thing, I just got a quickie. I got to ask
Okay.
you, what is a sizzle reel?
Oh, a sizzle reel is it's kind of like a teaser.
Okay.
So it's a video.
It's a video. Okay.
And it's a high energy
Okay.
video. It might be a recap of an event.
Okay.
It might be a little teaser for a product or service that you're launching, but it's not something that's long. It's like
Okay.
maybe a minute, maybe less than a minute.
Yeah.
And it's going to have like a lot of cuts and high energy and convey the story in a very fun way.
Cool. I saw that and I'm going, ooh, a sizzle reel. That kind of like really
It's
has a
kind of
lot
fun,
of,
like it sounds. Yeah.
yeah, a
Yeah.
pizzazz, and just what we
Yeah.
need to leave. Well,
Yeah.
again, thank you, Ellen. I wish
Yeah.
you
Thank
well, and
you.
I hope our paths cross again, and I hope you can stay in
Yeah.
touch with the Wise Center and be able to be a resource and go from there.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm all about supporting women business owners. So if
Yes.
anybody has questions or needs a shoulder to cry on, reach
We,
out.
isn't that the truth?
Yeah. So we all do that sometimes. We all
Yeah,
do
we
need
did.
that. Yeah.
All right. Well, Facebook world, social media world out there, thank you for tuning in and participating in here, and our community on Zoom. Thank you. And I hope that there was some learning, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.